We'll watch the
Hello, everybody. My name is Lamerck, and welcome to the Naval Sports League Week 10 SCP. I'm sorry, Jackals of the Baltic Sea versus the Royal Black Fleet. For our first-time watchers, the Naval Sports League, or NSL, is the ultimate naval competition in the game of Holdfast Nations at War. League battles are simple. Two teams, each led by a single admiral, pilot 5 large capital ships and 2 small support boats with the goal of sinking as many capital ships as they can within 35 minutes. Whoever sinks the most wins, and if there is a tie, we decide the winner by overall score. Teams consist of anywhere between 20 to 40 players, and the league provides mercenaries to balance out any number disparities between the teams. Every player in the league, be they team player or mercenary, is competing hard for end-of-season awards and accolades. Every battle will take place on a randomly chosen map with randomly chosen wind direction. Both of these factors mean that no 2 battles will ever be the same. The league lasts for 9 months from late February to November, with 3 games a month for you to enjoy. Once that main season is over, the top 3 teams in the league will duke it out to determine who wins the champion's crown. The NSL is a collection of Holdfast's most talented admirals, officers, and crews, and the tactical gameplay you'll see here is at a higher level than anything else this game has to offer. We hosts and co-hosts will be here for the entire battle to help you understand the decisions and strategies you'll see play out on the NSL Coliseum. So, without further ado, let's get to the pre-game coverage. I am joined today by Chewy of Troy. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here.
Good. And I was mistaken in my early read-in. It is of course today the Royal Black Fleet versus the Jackals of the Baltic Sea. So forgive my little error there. I want to get right into the league standings with you, Chewy. So why don't we go to the first slide, and why don't you tell us where each team is here in the league standings in the NSL as it stands today?
So right now we have the Leviathans as the only team that's 3-0 with a 46,500 point favor. The Krakens are behind them at 2-1 with the SCP-38 at 2-1 as well, but the Krakens have a point differential 10,000 higher than SCP-38. Jackals, with their big win against SCP-38 in their last match, is sitting in fourth, 1-2 with a negative 11,500 point differential. With the Marines also tied with them 1-2, but with 28,500 point differential. The Royal Black Fleet, which one of the two teams today, is 0-3, but they've also had the toughest schedule so far. They faced Leviathans, Krakens, SCP-38. That's the top three teams in the league right now in the standings, and that was their opening schedule. So for the Royal Black Fleet, it's going to have a bounce back day. Today's the day.
Yes, you're already talking about my strong man argument for these guys for when they're going to win today. So it's really great context. Let's switch over to the next slide, which is the player leaderboard. We got Spicy Paper back up on top at an average score of 1304 points. Verda has dropped down from number 1 to number 2, but with a really healthy average score of 1202. We've got McCandless holding steady at number 3, and then we've got Shadow moving up to number 4. The Scorgan gotten back, knocked down to number 5. These are the best players in the league by average score and KDR at the moment. So let's keep an eye out for them and what they're going to be doing today if they're playing as mercenaries. We've got let's switch to the next slide. That's our side-by-side, the Royals and the Jackals today. The Royals are going to be led by Imperator Gilly, and the Jackals do have 2. They have Charney Lee and Kashub. We have a season record, which we talked about, which you had just talked about, Chewy, of 0-3 for the Royals and 1-2 for the Jackals. The Jackals really putting in an incredible last match, really showing that they may have the stuff to punch their way back up through the rankings and the league scores. Top players for each team. For the Royals, we got Mr. Death, Glock, and Shum. And for the Jackals, we've got Falassian, I don't know, Grizio, and Milos. And then we've got Splunker K as the 1-2 watch on the Royals, and a name that I am always wrong when I try it, but let's just call him Roz. Roz for the Jackals, or the 1 to watch. So let's do this now before we move on to the map preview. Chewy, you actually gave a pretty good strong man for the Royals, but I will repeat your sentiment, which is that the Royals have had really just a tremendously difficult matchup up to this point. They do show, especially in their last battle with the Leviathans, they showed a real tactical understanding of when to go and when to stop, and they had put great pressure on the Leviathans, really making us fight for the victory. And against a team like the Jackals, which have had such a, their first 3 battles were not really that successful. Their most recent one was, we're still in an undecided area about whether the Jackals are a team that's on the up and coming, or maybe last week their last match was just a fluke. So I think this is the Royals' time to strike. They beat the Jackals. They bring themselves up into the rankings. Then they have to win, of course, the next team. This could be the start of their comeback story, but of course that could be said for both teams. Why do you think, Chewy, that the Jackals are going to take it today?
So I faced the Jackals in week 1 of the season opener here. They had an opportunity to beat the Marines in the closing minutes, but their passive play bit them in the butt. Yeah. Their second match was against Krakens. Okay, we understand that one, but that SCP-38 match showed great improvement from last year's Jackals to this year's. They were patient. They cycled ships off with low health. And kept them in reserve and in safety areas, and just their positioning. And they have the same admiral from that match today. And also, this is interesting, the Jackals have 3 of the next 4 matches on the schedule. So
yes. Yeah. So with the we had planned one for Mother's Day, and that was honestly our bad. We probably should not have planned a match for that day, and we ended up having to cancel, and that's really shaken up the schedule. And I think the Jackals are by far the most impacted team.
Yes.
But I think that what I was joking about before we started the broadcast, they're going to be so warmed up There is, I think, something to be said for having multiple competitive matches back to back. It keeps your team fresh. It doesn't give a month for them to kind of like, forget all the things that made them win or be able to remember acutely whatever made them lose. So and I think with Charney in charge of them, um, they are absolutely a team that has the opportunity to punch their way back up into the mid tier of this league and possibly position themselves for a third place for the finals. So let's go and take a look at today's map. We've got Lion Isles. If I'm not mistaken, we have southern wind today, which is going to be even for both teams. So that straight down wind. I know that this really excited you, Chewy, because it's really going to get an even opportunity for both of the teams. So,
Yes.
where do you foresee this battle happening?
I predict both teams will go. At least one of them will go south off the start to bank that wind, and then the team that sails north will be at a disadvantage. But we'll see how that plays because they might get into a death spiral, all that. But I think the fight will be in the south. That if they're both teams are trying to be conservative, that's where they'll meet.
My big question for myself is these are two teams that have shown that they are absolutely not afraid to be passive. And one of the preseason battles, what we call probably the most passive preseason battle, was these two fighting against each other. In the Royals in their battle with the Leviathans recently were happy to play passive. The Jackals in their battle with the SCP were happy to play passive. My worry here is that we may have a very slow start to today's battle, and I'm really hoping that. Honestly, I'm going to put it on the Jackals. I hope that the Jackals don't do that. I can see the Royals doing it. The Royals need a win. Like they need to win however they can get it. Now, something that was interesting that I just thought of from the battle that they had with the Leviathans is that they had this kind of idea that they were going to. I think what they said in the after interview was that they were going to like try and sort of points farm it and then like just get a slight advantage over the Leviathans and then just hold that slight advantage for the whole time. It didn't work out for them, but it seems like the Royals have interesting ideas of what winning means that are kind of run contrary to other teams. Their definition of winning is basically like get an advantage and just don't give it up and just squeak by a victory. And I think at this point, being the only team that has not gotten a victory for themselves, that might be a not bad way to look at going to this battle. What do you think of that strategy, Chewy? What do the Royals have to do really to to win here against the
They
Jackals?
have to be the team that has the better position. They have to lead the Jackals in a little bit, but the Jackals we saw in their last match, they are very conservative when need to be. They're aggressive when they need to be. That again in the preseason match, you brought that up. Last year, these two teams faced not a single large ship was sunk in that match on
No.
either side, and only I think a total of 3 gunboats total between the two sides were sunk. So
It
it
was
was
very
definitely a
passive.
very passive match. I don't want that today, but I don't think we'll have that today. I think one team will get down to like one ship by the time expired, and the other team will be down to like three. But I give the slight edge to the Jackals today. That's my prediction. But I'm happy to see either team win here because both teams deserve a win for one reason or another.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I think, it's almost like there's really I would love to see either of these teams come out on top. I really want the Royal Black Fleet to get a victory for themselves and again sort of prove to the league that they belong, in contention, right? Because it's just successive losses are just hard to stomach for anyone. And we have such a variety of teams in this league that you should be able to get a victory over somebody at some point. Something's got to go in your favor. But the Jackals, their last battle was a thing of absolute beauty against the SCP-38s, an extremely strong team in their own right, who I do not think expected in any way to get beaten by the Jackals. And so I'm a sucker for a comeback story, and the Jackals have the opportunity to really cement the beginning of that comeback. And then we were talking about it, just a quirk of the schedule. Their next two battles are against the Leviathans. So this may
Yeah,
be, I mean, listen, it's not like the Leviathans can't be beat or anything like that, but it's going to be much tougher. That'll be a much tougher challenge than what they're going to face here today. I humbly say, as the leader of the Leviathans, I think just with the Royal Black Fleet's track record, this is an opportunity for the Jackals to at least say, hey, we're going to get 2 wins. We're going to get 2 wins, and whatever happens against the Leviathans, they'll be tough battles, but we'll come to it on the upswing. So it's so tough to root for one or the other here. But I am going to say I think you are predicting a Jackals victory. I am going to be the contrarian here, and I am going to say that the Royal Black Fleet today, even though they're having some manpower shortages, like everything's against them today. But I think that they may have learned a thing or two from some of these recent battles. I think, you know, I think they're being led by. We went over it before, and I'll check again. But it's Gilly, right? It's Gilly who's. Some of these information just goes right out of my brain sometimes, and I'll check the host chat. But he's a contemplative sort of guy, and I think, he's going to try and come at this with a lot of strategy today, and really get a win out here. They're definitely the underdogs. So
All right, here we are. We're live.
We got movement. Yeah, we got movement. All right, so let's see where they start off with. I'm glad to see these guys just, I want to see them move towards each other. I want this battle to start nice and early. That's
they're both going north of the island to start.
So they're going to bank that win. They're going to reserve
a
good win for later. I call banking the win going against the win to start.
Oh wait, you're right. I got the compass. Yeah, you're right. They're banking win. That's the exact thing that I would want them to do. Bank the win. Yeah,
and that's right, because the wind is going south, so they're going against the wind. And so you're probably right though in your prediction that now the battle's going to happen south, because they're both going to go against the wind, then they're going to turn and they're going to go through these islands, and maybe it's going to be a line battle. And maybe that's what both of these teams need. It's just a not complicated line battle. Let their cannoneers do their best work and see what comes of it. But
interesting positioning of the 13 guns. We normally see the 13 guns towards the front of fleet formations, and the farthest forward we see a 13 gun in this match is currently for the Royal Black Fleet as their 4th ship in their line. I'm not counting boats as ships. Boats are boats, ships are ships.
That's right.
But on the Jackals, they're 13 guns all the way in the rear. Now, if you're going to put the 13 back, I'm okay with it being the last ship of the line in this one scenario, because it's the slowest against the wind out of the 2 ships. So they're not holding up their 8 guns. They're letting their 8 guns develop more. So on the other side, we see them actually using square sails against the wind on the back Royal Black Fleets with their last ship of the line right now. So that's interesting.
Interesting is a nice way of saying not good. And because you don't want to do that, right? Because it slows your ship down, and it's, I think, I even the most advanced admirals and captains are not intentionally slowing their ships down with square sails. So that's just maybe something they haven't noticed yet, and it's not a big deal at this point. We've noticed over the preseason, end of the preseason to the beginning of season 1, a real understanding that the 13 gun just cannot be the front ship anymore. It simply just gets wiped out too quickly. You've got to put an 8 gun to take the initial barrage from the enemy.
Yes.
And in a situation like this, where these two teams are basically just mirroring each other, and I mean, you've got to either they're going to go straight north and they're just going to line up north.
Black Fleet's turning.
Yeah, it is. It's turning in. And that's not a bad thing at this point. To get a little aggressive here, to start moving in towards the enemy. The question is, how is their attack pattern going to develop itself? Are you gonna find a situation where your front ship is getting hit by the entire enemy fleet, and then you're already starting off on the back foot? Are you gonna find a way to get your whole line in line with them and slowly ease your way into a battle? What decisions are they gonna make here? And until we see them get a little closer, we can only guess. But what we can say, I think, Chewy, is that the Jackals are going to have the better wind in this battle at the start, because they're continuing to go against the wind, whereas the Royal Black Fleet has given that up. So what do you think that portends?
So right now, I think they might use the 13 and have it hook left when they make contact to try to get them into an L-shaped funnel. So something has to cross the T of something. That's an idea. Because
and to go with that, you can see that the Jackals 13 gun is hanging back. You could tell it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's making distance. So please continue. But I think that's a very astute observation.
Because that was something I thought the Royal Black Fleet was going to do against the Krakens, but instead they charged all their entire fleet into
Yeah.
one direction. But if they did split, and they would have had the Krakens in a crossfire, and they were always going to have their T crossed at one angle or another. So
It's a great
I
strategy.
like that strategy. I really do.
Now, I think it works a little bit better in the close confines that
Yes.
that they had in that battle as compared to the very wide open scenario they have in this battle, because there's a lot of ways that the Royal Black Fleet could escape such a maneuver and maybe turn the tables. You know, when you split your fleet in two like that, you run the risk of the entire enemy fleet just getting out of range of one of your halves and staying in range of the other half, and then they have an overwhelming advantage on the half that they're in range of. So that could be the danger here.
So the Jackals currently have 2 gunboats deployed. What do the Royal Black Fleet have deployed right now for their boats?
You know,
Their 2 boats.
why don't you take a look at that? Because I'm stuck here on the overhead camera. I cannot look. But if you've got a free room, by all means, go take a look. Um, I
It'll
would.
take me a second to
Yeah,
pan
take your
over
time.
there.
So we're seeing right now, while you're doing that, I'll just keep some color commentary going. We have the Jackals turning their full fleet towards the Royal Black. Now, with the wind, they have, oh, look at, they're stopping. They're stopping outside of Royal Black range with all of the bows of their ships pointed directly at. This is so cool.
Interesting, and I
have
love
no
it.
idea what they're doing. I think what they're doing is they're flipping their line. A flippable line is
Yes.
where you take the what was previously the rear ship and you turn it into the new lead ship, and you just completely flip every individual ship around. And so it looks like they don't want to let the Royal Black Fleet run away. They want to chase. They're feeling confident and they're feeling good. What this does, interestingly, is it now makes it so that the 13 gun is going to be the lead ship of the Jackals fleet.
All right,
That
so I
may
have
be
an
interesting.
answer what the Royal Black Fleet has deployed right now.
Okay.
For their boat. They have a single gunboat, and that's it.
Making it
Their
nice and
other
easy.
6 are in their spawn.
This is something that I think they might have done against the Leviathans, where they just weren't going crazy with the gunboats. They're saving them for later. They don't want to lose points. What those gunboats can be is, if they go well, they're a point farming tool. If they go
Yeah.
poorly, they're a liability because you lose tremendous amounts of points
Yes.
as they get sunk one after the other.
I hope that's the plan, and it's not just a manpower issue.
It certainly could be. That's certainly possible, because I know that they have a manpower issue today. So the Royal Black Fleet is stopping with the island cover here. They're not going forward.
I'm liking the
trying
Jackals'
to-
position here. They can, the most of their ships are out of range at the 13 gun, but it looks like some of the Jackals are ramming each other. The Jackals' lead ship is trying not to
Are
ram.
you
run into
talking
an
about Royal
island.
Black Fleet, yellow ships?
Yeah, Royal Black Fleet seems like they're ramming each other's, and
Yes.
Jackals seem like they're trying to avoid the island as well. So this fight will be in the south, which I predicted.
Yeah. I think in one way or the other it was going to end up that way, as you know, they chose to go with good win rather than bad, and it does seem to be a bit of a line battle. I think the positioning of the 13 guns is going to be a bit important here. The yellow ships, the Royal Black Fleet, their flagship is going to be a little late to the game, whereas the Jackals flagship it's got distance. I don't think it's in. Let's see, is it in range? No, it's in range. It is in range. It's definitely in range. So we're seeing here now, a line battle. The Jackals are going to pull their 13 gun out of that range, and they're going to leave their 8 guns in it, which is very smart.
Ooh, detonation.
Detonation on the rearmost cannon on the Jackals flagship. Not a good thing for the Jackals. So let's see these guys as they come in.
Royal Black Fleet is getting their ships, all their ships, into combat faster than the Jackals are. So
Yeah,
I
they
do
are.
like that for the Royals.
I think you could really see in the trajectory of the Jackals flagship how they are trying to not lose any more cannons to 8 guns. Losing a cannon. Oh,
they lost another.
They just lost another cannon to an 8 gun. That's not
So
good.
their cannon 5 and 6 are down on
Not good for
their
them.
starboard side.
And you're starting to see in the HP totals just the barest hint of black there, right? So when you look at the top of the screen and you see the HP totals at the top, which are those little ships at the top, you'll see that they're all white. That's an HP pool, and it will go down the image of the ship as they lose their ship HP. And you're just starting to see the first hint of black at the 13 gun.
All right.
They are very far away now.
Are going in. One of the boats is hiding behind an island to shoot at the rear Royal Black Fleet ship, and the other one's, I think, going to join it. So that's interesting. But I haven't seen what the Royal Black Fleet's boat's doing. I think it might be protected by their 13. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I think it's on the other side of their 13, if I'm not mistaken. It looks like all the gunboats are heading towards the rear of the lines, and they're gonna duke it out there. I think. This is just a great, like, slug match. These guys are just punching the hell out of each other, and it's a beautiful thing.
And the 13 is in range of the lead 8-gun of the Royal Black Fleet, and if I was him, I would drop sails right now, and stay there for a bit so you have room to maneuver. Now, these walls aren't sticky. You can ram off these walls. It doesn't have the sand around the outside like the one map does. So they can use that for what I call the Sparrow turn from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a very good maneuver to use. And look, they've taken your advice. They have stopped. And so the question now is, where do they stop? Do they go to the wall? It looks like the Jackals do not want to really go forward. They want to stay here.
Looks like Royal Black Fleet's lead ship's turning out.
Yeah, it's taken a little bit of damage, and I don't see any reason for them to stay in as they're just getting pulverized by the enemy 13 gun. If they can get their 8 guns out of the range of the 13 gun, but stay in the range of the enemy 8 guns, they could have a good thing, because I don't know that the Jackals flagship is in range of the enemy 13 gun. So the Jackals,
I think it's too conservative play for the Jackals with their 13. Right now everything's still in range, but very soon it's going to be out of range, and they'll have to sail towards them, and with even wind at that angle to sail towards the enemy. So it's right now, okay, good. Oh, another cannon detonated, but on an 8 gun this time. For the Jackals, they lost one on their lead 8 gun.
Jackals are kind of losing this battle in a very slow way right now. If you take a look at the HPs, 2 of their 8 guns are almost down to half. Only one of the Jackals' 8 guns in the yellow ships are down to half, and it seems like that's the one they just pulled out. So they're taking a page out of the Jackals' last performance, which is, if a ship is not going well, get off of it. Get it
comes
out.
The boats. They just came around the island down the center.
Yeah.
So they're going for the rear 8 gun. So their rear shots do a lot of damage. There's a lot of health in the rear of ships. So they're going to harass that 8 gun, and maybe that will have to turn off. And also, I'm not seeing great coordination of fire here from the Jackals. Like they're spreading their shots across 3 or 4 ships right now.
Yes.
And focus one ship, get it down. They lose the cannons on that. Go to the next. That's the standard strategy.
That's right. The name of the game is reducing the opponent's rate of fire and sort of number of shots that they're putting into your fleet, right? And it's it's
Jackals are evacuating an 8 gun, the one that probably has 10% health.
Yes, I would agree. I think that they are. I think that this is. I'm very pleased to see this amazing sort of. This is a very stationary battle strategy, which is you put your ships on the line, and as they get beaten up, you get them the hell out of there. I don't know if that 8 gun's gonna make it. Really long shots from the 13 gun
range now.
Just
so only the
like
gun
2 or 2. But that front, I mean, it is so low. It is so low. I think they might have saved it. I think they might have just.
They did.
Wow, that was close. Those shots on that retreating Jackals 8 gun at the front of their line.
So the Jackals have the point advantage, and now they're pulling out. I think. The Royal Black Fleet has the point advantage, I think, now, and is pulling out.
And this is, I think this is classic Jackals. They get an advantage, and then they think, all right, well, let's hold on to it and make them come to us. Both of these teams have decided they do not want this battle anymore. They want a different looking battle, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they end up doing in the next phase of this battle. And the nice thing is they started the battle early. There was no real hesitancy to get to each other. So now they have 20 minutes to finish this battle. They've got time to reposition. They've got time to deal with gunboats, and then they can swing around and reset this battle in hopefully one or the other of their favors. Jackals are on the losing side of this initial engagement. There's no question about
Yes.
it. Equal amounts of gunboats lost because
That's not going to be for long. It's going to go into the Black Fleet's advantage here very fast.
right
Because
because breaking
there
their
it
fleet
goes.
away. Yep, there it is. So right now the Jackals are up one gunboat and they are, I mean, virtually up an 8 gun. Um,
Uh-huh.
and so this is not, I think, what longtime watchers of the NSL who have really studied these teams, this is not what anyone would expect to see. The Royal Black Fleet may be on their way to their first victory of season 1, and God bless them, they're doing everything right now.
Yeah. Down in the bottom of my gut, I felt like this would be a passive match just because of last year, but I was like, no, there's no way it can be the passive match from last year just for this season. But
Listen,
it kind of is a little bit. Not
well,
as passive, but
passive. I can't 100% call this passive because the first thing they did was get into range of each other and start throwing shots. I certainly would use the word conservative and
yeah, there we go.
respectful, right?
Yes.
They've been very respectful of the power of the other team and the ability of the other team to really deal damage to them. They've made decisions throughout this that say, I am not going to put my fleet at any great risk. We're not doing anything really spectacular. Like there's no RBF charging the enemy fleet today. There's nothing like that, right? Gilly is saying, no, we're going to win this over the long haul.
I don't like this. The Jackals 13 is way too out of range to support its 3 8 guns. I think the 8 guns, while they're out of range, should drop anchor a little bit, let that 13 close in so they can concentrate their fire when the Royal Black Fleet is in range. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I see. Okay, so this is where it can get very passive because now that they're against the wind, it's going to take a while to get near to each other. It doesn't seem like either of these teams are particularly interested in getting near each other. I think the Royal Black Fleet is not interested because they're on the up. I think the Jackals are not interested because they're on the down. Like they don't want to increase the distance of their, the loss differential between the two of these teams right now. But they've got to. Somebody's got to move in. I think it should be the Royal Black Fleet. I think they should start heading to the northeast to try and cut off the front of that fleet, get close to them, and start really hammering in because they're not going to get as much return fire as they can give, and their ships are basically fine. This is a time, if you're the Royal Black Fleet, to get a little cocky, to get in there. But right now we're seeing two fleets that are parallel with each other, out of range. Not the stuff glorious victories are made of, that's for sure. But it certainly could do well to cement the status quo that we're seeing here. Yeah, we may be waiting for a little bit for more action. That time that they bought themselves by being aggressive in the beginning, I hope they don't waste in the middle. Especially for the Royal Black Fleet. Royal Black Fleet got to go. They've got to go the opposite direction that their front ship is facing right now. Because I think they're thinking, why don't we lure? The Jackals need to change the dynamic here, so they need to get in. And I think the Royal Black Fleet are like, they need us. We don't need them. We're winning. They need us. They need to come get us. So I don't know. We'll see.
So I have someone that I am friends with on the Royal Black Fleet 13, and they're saying the spirits of that ship right now is very high. So
It should be. It should be very high, and it's really awesome to get their perspective in the moment. But use that morale. Get in there and fight. Because they can go take this from a slight victorious stance to an overwhelmingly victorious stance, and we're going to see how it plays out. What would be truly horrible is if this is all that happened, and that was the whole game. In which case, the passive play levels are going to get to a point where it could be, there may need to be a change.
yeah.
I'm hoping that doesn't get. I'm hoping that in the next 5 minutes we see these two teams really closing each other, and we have a riotous last 10 minutes. But with the islands ahead of them and them seeming to go on opposite sides of two completely different islands, I'm not seeing how they can get to a situation in which they are aggressive with one another. It's going to take forever. They're going dead against the wind.
A gunboat from the Royal Black Fleet is flanking the 13 gun, and as a 13 gun captain, often it's hard to counter a gunboat once it's behind you in a 13.
Especially when you're against the wind. Especially when you're against the wind.
Especially against the wind. And interesting crew of that gunboat. It's by War Crime and I can't eggs. So
Eggs. Oh, two of my
two
guys.
good gunboat guys. Yeah.
Yeah, great gunboat guys. And they certainly will use every bit of their skills to their advantage here. So it
Two
could be
Jackal gunboats are going to go counter that. So that's a fun little just tidbit.
Yeah,
While
I mean
we have
that's what we got to
right
be watching at this point because the fleets are just taking their time to maneuver into a position they feel
All right,
is advantageous.
here goes the Royal Black Fleet gunboat in.
All right, take us through what you're seeing here, Chewie, because I got to stay on the overhead. So be the eyes and the ears.
So now they're death charging at each other. All three gunboats are death charging at each other. The shots are, of course, hitting for the Royal Black Fleets. Jackals are hitting most of their shots, but not all their shots. Ooh, good.
X on X
face
violence
point.
over there. X on X violence. Love to see it.
They're about to ram each other here. Actually, the guys on both ships, the gunboats that just made combat, are all X guys. It's X versus X.
It's Leviathans on Leviathans actions.
And now let's see who this is. This is the 9th is the other gunboat, and now they're getting on the flank, but they're loading grape shots.
Ooh.
So how is it going over the fleets? They're still well out of range, aren't they?
Well out of range, but we're getting to a position where they're gonna probably hook around and get into something akin to a closer battle. I would stay with those gunboats, to be quite honest, because that's where the action is right now. The two fleets are not in firing range yet. They will get there.
Yeah, I think this gunboat's original target was to go after the 8 gun that has almost no health. But now it has both Jackals gunboats on its butt, and they're kind of trapped right now. They're definitely at a disadvantage at this second.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to shake 2 gunboats from your rear.
No, they're going to go down. I mean, I'm sure they're going to go down, right? At some point.
Yep.
From the bird's eye perspective over the fleets, what we can see is that the Jackals are beginning an attack run, and they're doing it in an interesting way. It seems that they're taking 3 of their 8 guns around the island that they have just passed, but the 13 gun is staying on the other side. Their fleet is split up. This could be the opportunity that the Royal Black Fleet were looking for.
I love their positioning right now, because that 13 should stay out of the range of the Royal Black Fleet ships. They want to probably stay out. The Royal Black Fleet probably wants to stay on this side of the island to sink that 13, but then if they do, the 8 guns will cut across their nose and cross the T. So one way or another, something's going to get. They're going to get in a crossfire if the Royal Black Fleet isn't safe. They should rush through that island right now, take on those 3 isolated 8 guns, and have this 13 gun just sail at them unmolested.
100%
basically.
agree with you. 100% agree with you. Leave that 13 gun behind. It's not going to do anything. You get right up into the face of those 3 8 guns. And we are seeing shots landing on the first 8 gun. Pretty significant shots from the 13 gun of the Royal Black Fleet hitting the first 8 gun of the Jackals' separated line. This is really, really good for them, and it's what they want to just continue to reduce the damage and the HP totals on those Jackal ships. The Royal Black Fleet are just doing a great job here in the fleet battle of keeping together and keeping their eyes on the prize. They want to win. They want to hit.
So about a minute ago, Egg's gunboat went down. So it helps the points a little bit. So the points aren't that. Oh, explosion!
Yeah, different. Cannon explosion on the first Jackal's 8 gun. So not the Jackal's 8 gun do not need that right now. Of all things, they do not need that. And the Jackal's 13 gun is just MIA, trying to cut around the back of the Royal Black Fleet's line. And that's all well and good, but frankly, the Royal Black Fleet could detach a single 8 gun to fire at it and completely just distract it with that while taking out 3 8 guns. I'm still seeing the Royal Black Fleet taking this one big time. They've just got to just keep focus. Just keep focus.
So the
Don't
two
let that
gunboats
8
are coming to
13 gun.
support that 13, while the other side, again, is only rolling with one gunboat at a time to save points, which is a very interesting strategy. I haven't seen it often. If actually, I don't even recall ever seeing it before. You might have.
I think they did something like that. They were very conservative with their gunboats in their battle with us, the Leviathans. I am wondering, though, if you weren't right originally in that it does have to do more with a manpower shortage on their part than anything else.
That's definitely going to be one of my first questions in the interviews
In the
with
post
them.
game, yeah. So it really looks like the Royal Black Fleet is escaping any danger from the 13 gun behind it, while still being able to put a good amount of pressure on. My question is though, with the angle, they don't seem to be too focused on these 8 guns. I think that they might, crazy enough, be doing a port side swing around, a left side turn to swing around the island and slam their entire fleet into the 13 gun.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're now the 8 guns of the Jackals are distracted because they can't turn port to save them because one Royal Black Fleet ship is dropping anchor almost.
This is cool.
And so now it's 1v3, but the other 4 ships are going to go of the Royal Black Fleet are going to go against the Jackals flagship and 2 boats.
This is cool. And the Jackals flagship is shit out of luck out here. If it turns to try and reconnect with its 8 guns,
it's turning against the wind.
It's going to turn directly against the wind. It will be a sitting duck for this Royal Black assault that is about to happen. This is going to be.
And they still have their squares up against the wind on the 13.
Royal Black.
Oh.
I know. I can't even. The Royal Black Fleet are going to have every single ship. This is the focus of the entire battle right now. This 13 gun is going to get it's going to get ripped to shreds by the Royal Black Fleet, and the
Jackals 8 guns have to get back in.
They've got to run like hell. I just simply think that if we were looking from the flagship of the Royal Black Fleet, I mean the Jackals right now, I think we're about to see a hellfire rain down on it from all of this.
So if I was the Black Fleet, I would have 2 of my 8 guns parked just as soon as they pass the island, and then sail 2 ships around the 13 and get them in a crossfire. Get something behind them, rip them a new one, and because if they try to turn and shoot the ship chasing them into the rear, then their front's getting crossed. So either way, you're crossing the T.
Yes. Yeah. This is going to get very bad very fast. We're not seeing it reflected too much in the ship HP of the Jackals 13 gun just yet, but
we know how fast
that
these
stop
can go
you.
down.
Exactly. It's going to be all at once and absolutely catastrophic. This split is going to be the big mistake that they made in this battle, and it's not going to be pretty.
You know how I said morale on that Royal Black Fleet's flagship was high before.
Can you imagine what it's like now?
Oh my god, I'm excited for those on that 13. Yeah. Royal Black Fleet, I think we can say today they're going to be the ones that are going to win. It's going to be close, but like I kind of thought it would be. It won't be neither one getting wiped, but it's going to be, as of right now, I would predict a Royal Black Fleet victory. And they just have all the position. It'll be very hard for them to lose right now.
So we're seeing right about this moment, right here, right now. Oof, oof. This is where the differences in the HP between the 13 guns are going to separate, because now the Jackals 13 gun does not have a rotational range. Its cannons cannot turn far enough to hit the Royal Black Fleet 13 gun, and this is where the Royal Blacks are going to just stop. They're going to stop. Not only do they have the back of the 13 gun, but they've got the front of 8 guns that are coming in. This is basically the perfect position. There's a stop. Because this is a moment where you don't want to keep moving forward. You want to just
look at that firing line of the Royals.
It's
that
so
is
beautiful,
perfectly spaced. You don't want to be 100% in line, so you can maneuver around the ship behind you or in front of you, whatever. So right now, everything's going right for them. And it's not going to be like last year, where
13 gun is down.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up. It's not going to be like last year where no large ships go down, but it did take 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the match for a single large ship to go down, unlike last year.
But I think you're going to see in these last 6, you're going to
Oh
see
yeah,
more
no,
than
look at
just
that
one.
8 guns. You can just almost count how fast that is going down. Just look at that
Spicy
lead
paper
8
with a
gun.
triple kill, cannon explosion.
Oof.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I feel bad for the Jackals, but they did their best. I think it's safe to call it now.
Oh, it's very safe. The question is how many ships can the Royal Black Fleet take out in these last 5 minutes? That's another one down. That's the lead 8 gun.
I think they're going to
Now
get one more, at
I
least.
think they're going to get one more and maybe 2 more if they start moving forward and get that one that's on the other side of that sort of mountainous island in the middle. He's hanging out back there.
I think
I would
that one
start
can
moving the fleet.
escape, and the other one's way too far for them to catch.
They got to send a gunboat after that ship. I really want to see that ship all the way on the other side of the field. I want to see that ship sunk so damn bad.
A matter of fact, you said that. Guess what's next to the third island going that direction?
Yeah, they've got to get it. They could sink every ship. It's not out of the question that the entire Jackals fleet could be sunk.
Has the
Um,
Royal Black Fleet ever done that before, where they sunk all the enemy fleet?
They did an incredible battle against the Krakens. I don't remember if they sunk every one of their ships, but they did wipe a Kraken fleet. No question.
Oh, you're right. They
Last
did.
battle of the
I think they
preseason
did.
for them.
Yeah, that was in the preseason. Yeah, I think they actually did do that. That was a upset towards the end of the season.
The
which
Royal Black
lost the
has it in them.
Krakens.
They've got it in him. Gilly's got the stuff. You know,
Yes.
he's a good admiral. He knows how to do it, and he you know, sometimes we criticize him for being overcautious, but they really do know how to press an advantage when they get it. And that's the thing is, it's one of the things I've been wondering in my head is, do the Royal Black Fleet understand how to create advantages? I don't know. Do they know how to exploit advantages that the enemies give them? The answer to that is unqualifiable yes. Oh, and I think we're about to see a second ship go down for the Jackals. Now Royal Black Fleets. There it is. There's the third ship.
3-1, 3-0 right now.
Yeah. Okay, so now charge forward and hit that 8 gun. Hit that 8 gun, and then gunboats get that 8 gun. All right, Chewie, let's hear about the gunboat that's going for that last 8 gun, the severely reduced 8 gun. I want to see that.
Thank you. I was trying to get a word in there for about 30 seconds, but yeah, Eggs is in range, and
other people get words in around here. All right, so do you think it's gonna get sunk? Do we think a sink is gonna happen here?
If it detonates a cannon, I think that's all it needs to do is detonate a cannon or have a couple of hits. I think it can be done. It's now charging into the T of the 8 gun, so it can concentrate its guns, but I don't know how many guns it has left on that side. I'm not really seeing it fire a lot. And only 1 boat's behind Egg, so that's going to be it. Eggs is turning out and not going for the kill now.
I've heard that it's lost the gun. So
he lost his gun, so he's using
front
swivels.
And there we go. We see a gunboat down. I assume that's Egg's gunboat.
That's Egg's gunboat, yep.
So it seems like that ship is going to just survive. It's going to just survive. With 2 minutes and just over 45 seconds left, we are seeing a powerful Royal Black Fleet victory shaping up. And the question is, how powerful? How overwhelming? Can they sink one more ship? And the answer is probably no.
Probably no, because islands.
Yeah, I think the islands are going to give the cover, I think. Oh, Eggs they had boarded. They boarded the 8 gun, maybe. I don't know. I think
did they have a carpenter?
I know. To get a carpenter on that 8 gun right now would be incredible. Just swivel wheels. Where's Praxis when you need him?
So, great improvement from Royal Black Fleet. They finally get their first win of this season, and I'm excited for Royal Black Fleet. Jackals, they put in a hard fight, but just positioning, keeping the 13 out of range of most of the enemy fleet. Just some things were great that I absolutely loved that the Jackals are doing, and then some things were a very big risk, which Jackals are known for sometimes to do.
Yes.
But I think early in the match I said it would be 3 ships to 1 ship. I thought it was going to be a 2-ship win. It is going to be a 2-ship win, technically, but a little higher numbers still alive than I predicted. It's going to be 5 versus 2, it looks like, because the one in range is has way too much health for them to sink behind the island
Yeah.
in the minute left, and the other one's out of range. So, uh, if I was the Jackals, just call off the attack. Don't send your gunboats in. Just try to save some point differential here. Don't feed into it. Which they actually won the gunboat trade. They lost 2 for 3 gunboats for the Royal Black Fleet.
And I think that's got to be attributed to the fact that they had that like limping ship out there that the
Yeah.
Royal Black Fleet just really was willing to throw gunboats at.
Yeah, they sent 2 that I witnessed for that. Off the top of my head, I can remember right now.
Mhm.
Maybe the third, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah.
Uh,
It looks like
yeah.
the Jackals are throwing another gunboat at the Royal Black Fleet, just giving them some points. Why not?
Yep. Jackals are crossing the T of a Royal Black Fleet 8 gun, but all right, 22 seconds left in the match, and nothing's close to being sunk on the Royal Black Fleet. It's better late than never, but it might as well be never with that many seconds left in the match with this much health.
Yeah, this is
So Royal Black Fleet, congratulations to your victory if you're listening, or watching this back on YouTube later on. Congratulations. I was very excited for this victory for you all today.
yes, well earned. And
I did predict against 16,000. Yeah,
very nice
16.5
victory.
thousand. Ooh.
Very, very nice victory. And
I think this is their biggest win yet ever.
yeah, I think so. Well, actually, I can't say that for sure. I'm not sure. But I know listen. This is big, and it's absolutely what they needed today. I will be very interested to talk to both of these teams, but this is unfortunately for the Jackals, they did not get to really continue the saga of victories that they needed. And they're going to have some hard fights ahead of them. And so the Royal Black Fleets have truly today blunted forward momentum for the Jackals, and they've set themselves up as a team that can absolutely exploit issues, divisions, weaknesses in enemy formations. And that, I think, is really just the beauty of what we saw from the Royal Black Fleet today. What is your sort of last kind of assessment of what we saw out of today's battle, Chewy?
Again, the Royal Black Fleet, I've been seeing it more and more, especially against X. They played very conservative both times they played against them in a way. And today they just were patient. They were a little more patient than the Jackals. They weren't trying to rush as much as the Jackals were to do certain things. They did everything right. They should look back on this match with great pride, because Jackals are coming off their biggest win ever, and to then shut them down today like they did, and not lose a single ship of theirs. That is impressive as hell to watch.
It really is.
I feel bad for the Jackals though, but because now their next 2 matches are both against Leviathans. 2 of the next 3 matches are Jackals versus Leviathans on the schedule in general. So we're going to see a lot of Jackals this month. This is the 3 out of 4 weeks is Jackals. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the hardest part of their schedule these next 2 weeks. Both their matches against Leviathans. We'll see what they do for the rest of the season. I'm very excited to see what's out of these 2 teams.
Yeah, I trying to analyze the fleet maneuvers that we saw today, I think the thing that really didn't work in the favor of the Jackals, interestingly enough, was the offsetting of their 13 gun.
Yes.
They usually, that is like standard, like it's what you want to do. You want to offset your 13 gun, and yet because they did that today, and the 13 gun was at the front of the line, it allowed the Royal Black Fleet to break off and not really get tagged for it, so they could preserve their ships, preserve their ship HP. Not to mention, just in a general sense, they won the firefight. When they were lined up evenly, they won the firefight. They had a better concentration of fire on the enemy. They had a better prioritization, of targets, and then focusing fire at those targets. And then they broke ships off way ahead of time. So they really never even came close to losing a ship today. And I mean, it was a thing of beauty. It was a great battle for them. I'm sure they must
all
be
their
so
ships
excited.
had what 45-50% health left,
Yes,
all of them
yes.
or more. So they were cycling them out as one
Mhm.
would get low. They were just like, all right, we'll just move it out of the range of most of their ships, so
Yeah.
it can still fire. Like that's exactly what they needed to do.
It,
That's what the Jackals did against SCP-38.
it's exactly right. It's like they picked the Jackals' own strategy and they flipped it in reverse. And the way that they did that, I can't focus on this enough because it was so brilliant. So in the Jackals versus the SCP, the rear of the Jackals line was the one that was getting focused down by an overextended SCP line, right? So
hmm
the SCP had such a very long line that if you took ships off the back of the Jackals line and just moved them forward, those ships at that overextended part of the SCP line had nothing to shoot at. They were out of range of the other ships. In this situation, what we saw today was that the Jackals, by offsetting their 13 gun at the front of their line, that ship, once the front of the Royal Black Fleet's line, once the front ships at the Royal Black Fleet line, once they peeled off, that Jackal's lead ship, because it was so far away, had nothing to shoot at. So at that point, most of the Royal Black ships are firing at everything but the 13 gun on the Jackal side, and the Jackal's 13 gun is firing at nothing once those ships left. And that really allowed them to conserve ship HP in a really beautiful way. So this fleet micromanagement that we're starting to see, inspired by the Jackal's most recent performance before this battle, maybe it's a sort of meta that's going to develop. If a ship gets hurt, get it out of the fight. Get it out of the fight, especially if you can get it out of the fight and make it so that one of the enemy ships no longer has anything to fire at. So I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah.
This
Last
is
year,
line
that's what I
battling at its
tried to do when
finest.
I admiraled in a few of my matches where one ship gets low, cycle them out of the range of
Mm-hmm.
most of their fleet, use them as bait so you can get them in a cross. There's a lot of options because when there's blood in the water and one ship's about to go down, it's hard not to go after it
Yes.
for a lot of these guys out there. And again, I was just very excited for the overall match today.
Yeah, this was a great one. This was a fun one.
It's a lot more entertaining for us to host and watch
Yeah.
today this match than their match last year. And I can't wait to see the rematch of these two teams later on this year because every
Yes.
team is facing every other team twice in this season.
That's right. That's right.
So they meet again. I'm looking right now in week 25, which is October 12th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that keep that on your calendars if you want to see these two teams face again.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to our post-game interviews. We have the admirals here from both teams, and I'm seeing from the Royal Black Fleet, it looks like we've got Frankie and Splunker. Gentlemen, congratulations on your first victory of season 1, an incredible one. Are you guys as hyped as we are to see you guys win today?
Yeah, that was pretty dope.
We
It was a lot of fun.
No, very good. So, I have one or two questions. I'm sure Chewy has plenty as well. The I'm not going to steal Chewy's question. He's got a good one about your gunboats. I think today my question for you is, just the general one. What was your strategy going into it, and is the battle the way it happened what you were hoping for?
Pretty much perfect, honestly.
Yeah.
We gathered the weather gauge early on,
Yep.
as best as we could. We saw that they were kind of playing passive, going straight towards the wall. So we figured we'd cut through or attempt to, and that kind of, it was interesting. It got them to pull through and got us to have good position. We were able to cycle them off the wall and then kind of fall back. The 8 guns at least,
Mm-hmm.
and shoot at them the whole time. I was very surprised they didn't have their 13 gun shooting at anything. They just kind of had it fall back, and then they also had the one that was heavily damaged fall back. So we basically were outgunning them the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their 13 gun lost 2 cannons pretty early on in the battle. So without flipping it, I think they were pretty hesitant to put it in against yours. And I think that's got to. I mean, we'll ask, but I think that's got to be why. So, what I think my question is there anything in this battle? The pulling away of ships, right? The withdrawing of ships. What inspired that? Is that something that you guys normally do and I just haven't noticed, or is that like kind of a new thing that you're trying out?
That was just something that I kind of thought of in the moment, because I know, well, they had their 13 gun there for a while shooting at him, and I was like, we're not in range for them. Why are we just going to sit here and shoot at them, or get shot at, sorry, and not shoot at them back? So I just kind of slowly did that preemptively so they didn't take too much damage.
All right. Chewy, questions?
All right, so here's my big question. Why only one gunboat deployed at a time today? Was it because of manpower, or were you trying to save
Yeah.
points? Manpower, okay. That's what
Originally,
I kind of thought.
we had like 14 reactions today when I woke up. I had a message a couple people. We got up to maybe 16, but yeah, we had to do a lot of convincing to get people to show up today because we had a lot of people that had plans or different stuff going on just randomly, or were on vacation.
Yeah, and it's also end of school years are coming up, so people are studying for tests and all that.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting that issues for you all today, and you came around and capitalized on it. We were trying to debate if it was manpower or you trying to conserve points and not feed in gunboats, which is something I'm seeing a little bit here and there from people, but never just sailing one gunboat at a time.
I can add a little bit to that because you
Please.
mentioned,
Go ahead.
we remember early on when we were first initially engaging them when we crossed the island chain. Remember, that initial engagement gave us a distinct point advantage.
Yes.
And when we noticed that, we were like, well, okay, so here's the situation. We're basically all heading towards this wall. We're up in points. We're starting to like space out in distance where the only people that are able to engage are the 13 guns. Why don't we just pull back, right? And that was what we did. And that way, since we're the advantage of points, they have to come to us.
Yeah, we did. I think when you watch back, you'll hear our commentary that like, yeah, there was a lull in the middle of the battle, basically, right? When you guys split off from your fleets, and I think on your end, right? I think for the Jackals, it was like, holy shit, we didn't win that. We lost that first engagement, and so we're a little worried about having to go. We're basically a ship down. Like their ship just left, the one that you guys nearly sunk, and so they're like, getting aggressive with down a ship. That's not a good idea. But for you guys, you were like, well, they have to get aggressive because we're winning. So why should we go to them? And in the end, it was the Jackals who decided to make the attack to your benefit. And I think just the later game stroke of brilliance, though, I have to say, my favorite part of the battle was when you guys looked like you were going for those 3 8 guns, and then you swung your whole fleet around that island and just obliterated their 13 gun. That was a thing of absolute beauty, pure aggression. Loved to see that.
Frankie you were 13 gunning, right?
Yep.
You were Frankie was turning hard to left, and Frankie already knew this, but I just said out loud, I said, if we just turn hard to port, we
can just take out their 13 gun while it's completely separated from everyone else for some
reason. And it's totally against the wind. Like any way of escaping was completely against the wind for it. So like, it was a perfect setup.
We basically said, like, as long as we can swing out like 2 or 3 of our ships around this island before they cut across to get to the other side, if we didn't sink it, at the very least, we would get so many points that by the time they were even able to catch up with the rest of their fleet, the round would have been, assuredly ours if we were just point wise. But
yes,
we got so many good in hits, we managed to sink that 13 gun before it could get away,
and then 2 8 guns afterwards.
Yeah.
So and in their rush to support their 13 gun, they really gave it to
They
you.
got their T crossed, and it was devastating.
I can only imagine the hype on your flagship and all your ships really at that moment. So a great victory. Chu, you got any more questions before we move on?
Talking about morale of that flagship, I did have a friend on that flagship today, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, morale's high during the lull." And I was like, "Oh, now that they're crushing this 13 gun, the morale must be through the roof." So it was very excited to see that perspective during the match from someone on your ship saying, "Oh yeah, everyone's loving this match right now." So that was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm glad that Bjornson had fun.
That's great.
And that's exactly who it was.
Of course it was. All right. Well, just hats off to a basically perfect victory today. I mean, you can't really ask for more than not losing a single capital ship and nearly sinking every other one from the enemy team, leaving them with one that was a strong breeze could have sunk it, and the other one that was down pretty low too. So congratulations, and we hope to see more just like this from you guys in the future. Let's move on to our. I think we have Charney here. Charney, do we have you here with us? Or somebody to speak?
Charlie and me.
Oh, we got
Yeah.
Kishub. Am I pronouncing it right?
Both of us.
Pronouncing it right?
Right, great.
Very, very good. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, first of all, congrats for the Royal Black Fleet. It was a splendid victory, great show of the tactics. And first thing I want to say is that I feel like this battle was doing like the Royal Black Fleet did to us what we did to SCP-38
Yes,
like
yes.
a week ago, and what we did to the Royal Black Fleet like half year ago. Because what happened then was, well, first of all, the cycling of the fleet. Exchanging the damaged ship for the fixed one, and that went perfectly because our fleet was more spread out. We couldn't quite concentrate our fire as well as the Royal Black Fleet could. Second thing, the splitting of the fleet, if you know what I mean, because in our first victory against the Royal Black Fleet, we've won by the points because Royal Black Fleet split their ships. We could basically divide and conquer them, and right now they did the same to us. So it's like being on the other side, for both cases. So this is something incredible, despite being on the losing side. This aha moment, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So brilliant tactics. What else can I say? Our plan was, well, we basically executed our plan, but we had a bit of problems with, last match, our fleet cohesion or against the Marines, it was almost perfect for
Yeah, it was.
for a big part of the matches, but today it was a bit off, I would say, and we will have to take some exercises on our fleet cohesion and concentrating of our fire, stuff like that, to basically improve on that fields.
So my question.
Do you want to say something? I may translate if.
Oh, okay. If Charney has something to say. He's muted, so here he is.
No, I'm not. Okay, Kashub don't say this, but I'm say, very good battle, but the mercenaries won the match for you.
Oh,
So,
that's
of course it's
that's
joke,
not-
of course.
it's not true at all. That's not true at
Yes,
all.
I know. I see this battle and I see my people don't have aim to shoot, so I'm very bad for my people. I don't too much training, but it's very good battle.
Yeah, it was a great
Very
one, and
good.
and there's
Yes.
there's no way to say it except for that this battle was decided by positioning, tactics, and it was a strategic victory, and so
Yes.
there are certainly battles where we could see, oh wow, one side's gunners just outperform the other side's gunners, but I think today it really did end up being the decisions that were made by the admirals and the captains that put the fleets in the position, and I think there are some. I think of some battles, any crew that could just basically shoot at a generally decent accuracy would win a battle, or some of them only the best cannoneers would win that battle. There are different kinds of battles that are like that, closer or further away, and unfortunately this one for you guys was a loss of decisions, and certainly not one of a loss of cannoneers. And your cannoneers have lots to be proud of. They did a good job, but yeah, shame for that. I guess, Chu, do you have any questions for our admirals? Because we can go on and on, but we do have to wrap this up pretty soon. So let's get to some
I
questions.
think you asked all the questions I had. So what, other than this, the stepping off of the 13 when you sailed through the islands, was that planned for it to be so far back, or did you want it to be a little closer?
Kaszub to chyba do ciebie.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
I had a bit of.
You want to ask the question again, Chewy?
The 13 gun leaning back, was that part of the trying to lure them in, or was it just because it was getting hit so much, and and were you just not able to get it back into the fight?
So in the beginning, when you guys had your lines
Okay.
formed up,
I-
right?
I'm sorry, I had a bit of internet issues. I couldn't hear the.
No
it's
problem.
it's all good then.
Yeah, it's.
No worries, no worries. We'll probably call it here just because we're getting a little long on the the interview section here. But I do want to thank.
I mean, like I had a bit of internet. I couldn't hear basically what he was saying because it was like a lot of
Right.
story. Yeah.
Real quick, if you can give me a very quick answer. The question was when you guys were going with the wind, you had your 13 gun offset, right? It was at the front of your fleet and it was offset.
Yes.
You remember this? Was that to lure the enemy closer, or was it because you had lost a few cannons and you were trying to play defensive?
It was a. Doing this. I wished to use a bit of range from our cannons because it is a bit of the range advantage from the side of the 13 gunner. But when I consulted with the captain of the 13 gunner, as I said, I'm not bashing on our cannoneers because we have a bit of training, but they did a good job. It's not like I wanted
Oh,
to
they
put
did.
the blame on them, but there is one thing that I made a mistake here. Is as I said before, the cohesion of the fleet, and the 13 gunner he went a bit too far. But at the same time, it was a bit of an idea to lure the fleet, as just as you said, because this is something I remember from the first match against the Krakens, I believe, when they lured our fleet in the manner I wanted to lure the Royal Black Fleet when we've had some of our ships by the wall, but
Well, they didn't take the bait
but
today, unfortunately.
yeah, they didn't take the bait. This is it.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for your answers to all of our questions, and thank you for a really, really fun to watch battle and an exciting one. Both teams, I think, did a great job, and but as you know, I can especially commend the Royal Black Fleet's decision-making core there. And I know this is a partnership between many, many talented captains and admirals, and today it all really came together in a beautiful way. We have upcoming battles coming up. I think let me take a look at the schedule really quick and set us up for our next battle because I do know that
It's
we
you
have some
versus
breaks.
Jackals. No,
So
yes,
is that next week? All right. So
yes.
yeah, we have. All right. So we are on week 10. We have a Memorial Day break next week. So next Sunday we will not have a battle on the 25th. That's for American Memorial Day. God knows we won't be able to get anybody out on that day. And then on the first of the next month, we have the Jackals back for. Then we're going to be seeing a lot of the Jackals over the next few weeks. So they will have plenty of time to get some practice in and get ready to fire at the Leviathans on game week 11 on the 6th, and then we have two more battles coming up in that period. We have the Krakens versus the Marines, and then again the Jackals versus the Leviathans. So the Jackals have a lot of fighting in their future, and we very much look forward to seeing them do so. All right, well, thank you guys for all of the coverage and the great camera angles from all of our correspondents. Thank you, Chewy, for joining me today. It's always great to have you, and we'll certainly have you back sometime soon in the future. And I hope you had a good time.
I absolutely did.
Good. And thank you to the audience, and of course to everybody who's setting up behind the scenes, sorting out the mercenaries, getting the maps set up and everything. You know, we couldn't do it without so much help. If you are a participant in the league and you want to help out, we got some really great camera angles today, and we got to focus on more things than we usually do because we had some more signups than usual for our correspondents. Please feel free to come donate some of your time, and we will appreciate it very tremendously if you will come and join us and learn the art of the camera back here with us. And of course, for you viewers who want to see more NSL, please check out our YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed here on Twitch. Make sure you're subscribed on our YouTube channel so that you can see not only this battle, but all the other battles that we've had, whether it was the preseason last year or season 1 this year. You can really follow the story of these teams as they develop over the season. And with that, thank you so much for watching. This is Lemerk out.
Hey.